till I came here.
Resident Evil 6. It's a good game. It's good and bad, to be fair. I really like 4, but I have such a soft spot for 6 because PS3, it was kind of the final entry with 4, 5, and 6. It's kind of a nice send-off to that middle ground of action, horror, experimental, changing, different, evolving. And I don't know. I mean, ever since 6, even as old as like 0, 1, and 2 and 3, Cove Run, whatever, it's almost like everything. Sure, you could separate that first phase. You could almost think of Marvel or Resident Evil as like a Marvel thing. There's like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. You could almost stick 1 and 2 together, everything up until 6. And then that's when things kind of get weird again. With 7, 8, you know, remakes, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know, this was the last, this is what I don't feel like some people realize is like, this is the last classic old-ish Resident Evil entry we got. Mainline entry point. Like, this era of gaming was so fun, dude. It was a pain in the butt. Everything's all cinematic and crashing and explosions, and there was plenty of other games that did the exact same thing. It's funny because people give RE6 crap, but it's like, dude, you realize if people pay attention that a lot of games go off of kind of just what's going on around the world and where we're at technology wise and attitude and culture. And you know, this game was really no different than any other game back then. But then there's so many Resident Evil games that all anyone can ever do is kind of see in this small window of Resident Evil as a whole. But it's like, hey man, you know, it was just a funky, weird, odd, strange time back then, which is fine, but it was fun. There's entertainment here to be had. There's production value. There's good things. And I will defend Resident Evil 6 till the day I die. Like, it was very anime. It was a lot more Japanese, which is kind of, they touched back with their roots. This is Capcom. This is a Japanese studio made by Japanese people, dude. Whether everyone is Western or whatever. This was the closest real, genuine, honest thing that we would have probably ever gotten Resident Evil wise. This is where they really pulled out all the stops. They went hard. They did a great job. There's, you know, there's a lot of lore, a lot of story. Dude, we got Jake, Sherry. I mean, come on. The classics, obviously. Chris, Leon, Ada. Claire was in here, right? I think so. Sometimes I phase Claire out completely. She's there and she's not there. I don't know. But yeah, not to mention just PS3. It was just a fun time. It's kind of like the 80s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. There's always this kind of generational gap every 10 years. And 3 was just, it was a good time, man. It was when I was still in school and growing up and a kid and teenager, and you know, those can arguably some of the last good years of anyone's life, really. And then you're an adult, and then whatever. You know, as a young teenage boy, this was probably one of the most fun games you could possibly play at the time. And it goes right along with Battlefield 4 and Last of Us, Wolfenstein. The Evil Within, like really good, strong games that came out around-ish the same time. So I don't just look at RE6, I look at everything that influenced RE6 to become what it is and how it... You know, some might question, like, why this and why that? Well, there's plenty of reasons, it's just you gotta look for them. You know, my favorite level was... Dude, we're in China, I mean, we're thinking Ada Wong, we're thinking... that kind of Asian culture, Japanese meets Chinese. They really went the whole different creative route with the enemy design and the creatures and the monsters and the bosses, and you know, it was very militarized. Everything was in this game. Everything you could possibly want. You may as well just grab a bundle of like 5 different games and stick them in this. Does it veer off almost completely from what Resident Evil started at? Sure. You know, this is a very exaggerated Michael Bay. But that's what makes it funny, and like, I'm not crazy into memes, but this whole game is literally a meme, and I think it's fantastic. You know, you gotta find that fine line between what it is to have fun and what it is to, like, play something that's horror related. And because, dude, things change, like, people change, times change. You know, it's all about adapting and evolving and growth. And and yeah, a lot of people might not really care about any of that, which, okay. But you get what you get, man. It is what it is. I don't really know what you want me to tell you. You know, like, hey, if I gotta be one of 5, 10 people that actually like this game, fine. I'll do it proudly, like... I don't care what anyone says, and the fact that I'm defending it so much isn't necessarily a good thing, because I shouldn't have to, but... I feel like this is something to kind of get out of the way now, because it's such a controversial game that... You know, there's so many mixed different opinions, and... But, you know, if you think about it this way, the fact that it's talked about in so many different ways, it's getting all the exposure it needs, man. Like, bad press is good press type thing. Reverse psychology. I don't know if this was this game's plan, but it worked. You gotta give them some credit. Like, haters make me famous, you hate me because you ain't me, you know, all those different things. That's the embodiment of this game. I don't even really... Like, when I just replayed this recently, like, I didn't really think about any of that at all. Like, sure, it was somewhat in my mind, like, yes, the game's a little rough, it's a little janky, it's a little old, it's... That's about the only crap I can really give it, though. I mean, other than that, I still really enjoyed playing the game and being these characters and all these different scenarios, and... It was hard. I was struggling at first, just getting used to the game again, and the controls and the mechanics and the gameplay and the... But obviously there's a lot of nostalgia, there's a lot of memories, and... I don't know. I love this game. I can't really just... It's funny because there's really not much more to say than that. Like, I just, you know, there's all kinds of details within the game, but as far as just how I feel about it. Like, I just like it. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. Cutscenes are good.
Too many good agents have died here today. You're not getting added to that list.
Leon.
Yeah, the game is just like... It's a thrill ride. It's almost too much. Like, obviously, it's kind of annoying with everything going on all the time, and it's hard to like catch a breath or take a break or a breather, and it's just kind of like boom, 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 boom. There's obviously like chill parts in between everything, sure, but like there's so much chaos, and you're going from one person to another, doing one thing to another. But I don't know, I like it. You know, Resident Evil it's already done the best that it can. It's already been there, done that. It's already established itself. It doesn't need to prove itself to anybody. The name alone carries so much weight. Like, nowadays, especially, dude, anything Resident Evil, someone's gonna buy it. Period. But they're geniuses, man, over there, because it's like, hey, we are gonna throw in some possibly purposely not as good games. I can't even say bad because I don't even want to get that going, but and we're gonna mix it in with these more serious tone titles, a lot more chill and cozy. It's all there, you know, so you can't really give them crap like, oh, hey, you haven't done any action-based stuff, because they clearly have. They're covering their own ass. And as people, that's kind of just what we do. They're very defensive, and it's survival instincts and defense mechanisms, and naturally, as a game studio, as a business, as a corporation, or whatever, you know, this isn't just Resident Evil we're thinking about. It goes deeper than that. It goes Capcom, it goes Japan, all these things. The people that work at the studio, everything. You know, the fans, the players, the higher ups, the everything, you know, and at the time, with what they needed to do when they did, this is perfect. It's great. You know, we're not thinking like RE01 vibes with the much darker days, you know. It's nice to have a game that sheds some light on life, and I don't know, like, yeah, the game is kind of hard. It was hard to follow, but I enjoyed every minute of it. Like, I almost gave up. I don't know if I gave up, but like the second time around. But I took a break or something and came back, and I just really wanted to finish it. Like, I was stuck at a part where like these QTEs or whatever I was doing was just not working out, and I kind of rage quit. It's another thing, very, very QTE heavy. You know, what else came out around this time? The Walking Dead, Telltales, QTEs. I mean, to be fair, RE4 and 5 also had all that, but you know, we're leaning into like the last of PS2 into early PS3 or something. You know, you think of those days and what it was like. It's hard for everyone because we're all different ages, and we're all, you know, have lived different lives and been through different things and experiences. And but when I think back about this game, man, there was Skyrim back then. There was like BioShock and so many good games. And they all complement each other. That's what they do. That's kind of the point, is they all, it's like a team. It's all team-based, like it's a competition and competitive. You know, what's going to be the game of the year? What's going to be the console of the year? What's, you know what I mean? The platform, I know not everyone kind of thinks that big, but it's such an important thing to realize when you play this game, is like, this is a piece of history. You know, it's, to play it nowadays is you know, it's fun. Like it wasn't really, I keep saying fun. Like, hey, I wouldn't call it like retro, like it's a little too old for me. At least this game came out when I was even alive. That's always a plus. And everyone's gonna have a different history with Resident Evil. Like, what was your first game? What was your second, third, blah, blah, blah. Up until and after when you played 6, what was that really like? I think people are lying to themselves, and when they can't sit there and they're stubborn and bullheaded and they can't seem to quite have some reasoning there somewhere, like, you know, they just want to blend in with everybody else. Oh, the game sucks, blah, blah, blah. Dude, clearly you have some good things to say about it, man. It's Resident Evil. You've played it before. There's that. That has to mean something. You know, it's just being negative and, like, bad vibes, and it's like, dude, there's a difference between, like, a bad game and something that has good in it, whether it's fully good or not, man. There's no such thing as a perfect game. It's impossible. You know, it's that whole thing, like, I call myself a real Resident Evil fan because I like 6, dude. And if you're saying you're a real Resident Evil fan because you don't like 6, well, that doesn't really, like, compliment or benefit the fact that you're trying to support Resident Evil, the name. If you really liked them, you'd play all their games, man. You wouldn't complain. Like, if you said Resident Evil 6 was perfect, you'd probably be kind of weird, because that's definitely not the case. It's not what I'm trying to say. It's far from that, man. But so is every other game I play. Like, there's no... When you're too biased and too fanatical and too fanboy about certain things, it really gets in the way and clouds your judgment, and... You can't see clearly, you can't think clearly because you're so focused on the bad, and that's what people are good at, and it's just, you gotta be better than that and above that and change that. It's a bad habit. It's one thing if, like, you know, the worst I'll say to anyone ever is like, oh, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm fine, I'm good. Like, I'm never bad, but I'm never great or whatever either. Very cynical approach, for sure, but, like, you know, sorry, 6 was just cool, man. It was edgy, it was stylish, it was fun, it was, I'm trying not to say fun anymore. Stylistic, it was, very sharp and precise and very, but kind of rough on the edges, and, I don't know, there's so much to it. I think to have been alive and to have participated and played this game, maybe not when it came out or whatever, it was so long ago, I don't remember, but around when it was still, like, you know, a relevant game to play in that generation. So, you know, and to play it nowadays, yeah, slightly better console, better monitor, whatever. Which, I mean, helps, I guess, but, you know, it's a very accessible game to get. It's not that hard. It's cheap. It's worth the time. It's worth the effort. It's worth the download. It's worth the space. It's worth the price. And not to mention, I just love Capcom. My favorite game is Onimusha. I mention Onimusha every time I make a Resident Evil video. And, you know, this is probably the last of the bunch of RE videos to do, and I feel like 6 came around when it did for me, or back around rather, for a reason, and once again, is it kind of like a I saved best for last type thing, or something else? Not quite like I saved the worst for last, but you know, it's just a fun game to watch too, whether you even play it or not. Like, it's just a lot of dialogue, a lot of voice lines, a lot of sequences and action and cutscenes, and you know, gameplay is good. Yeah, it's not that often like I have to. It just sucks because it is kind of the first thing that comes to mind is like, I'm supporting this game. I'm clearly like, I care about it enough, and I want it to succeed, and I want people to like it and enjoy it like I do. It's not all about what I want, but you know, I think having similar opinions and ways of thinking and stuff can go a really long way. We're all on the same page. There's good symmetry. We share the same brain, same wavelengths, and all that stuff. And I feel like, hey, it's up to me to have something good to say about this game and hopefully shed some light and enlighten, you know, those who are in the dark, or I don't know, like, it's, and you know, I already played all this again. I want to play more, to be honest. Maybe do some more easy normal mode on each character and have some kind of excuse to just play more of it. It still retains that very arcadey feel to it. You know, this is Leon in his prime. Like, everyone just looks very anime, and it's so cool because usually you see him evolve and change throughout each game, and they kind of look funny, or they look like cartoony, or like here they're just, everyone's hot. Everyone's good to go. Like, everyone's so attractive and fine-tuned, and it's just pure eye candy. The visuals, like, I really love how far away they went from their original material, and just kind of really, they went there and they weren't afraid to do it, man. You gotta give them, they got some balls, dude, to push things this far, and I'm just thinking of like every single way I can think of to plug this game and promo it, and like, God, I don't know. But this is just my personality. This is just me. This is who I am and how I've grown up and my experiences, and what this game does, it's exactly what I want. Like, it's not afraid to be itself and to be someone different, and more than just what it was and what it is. And you know, it keeps you on your toes. It keeps you at the edge of your seat. Well, it's a bit dramatic, but it you get the point. Like, it does what it needs to, man. We're talking 6 entries, 666. It's an evil number, 6. That's another cool point. I mean, RE6, it's just catchy. Resident Evil 6. The theme that they went, the colors, the God, it's just cool, man. And think about 5, for example. You know, we go from 5 kind of like, yeah, you know, Africa, and I get it. But hey, let's turn it up a notch. Let's go to 11, man. And if you played 4 and 5 and then 6, like, you saw this coming, you should have seen this coming a mile away. You know, to sit there and be surprised, that's kind of your own fault. Like, this was so expected and predictable, but in like all the best ways. Like, when I played this recently, like, I felt good about it. Like, I felt confident and like, you know, this is me and who I am, and this is a game that really represents myself, and because I'm someone that likes to be recognized and recognition and passion and loyalty and all these kind of ethics that make up my DNA and my genetics, and like, I don't know, and playing this game just kind of fits. It just works. It's that piece of the puzzle that completes me almost. It's just so, I can't explain it. You know, considering my favorite game, like, honestly, Resident Evil is my second favorite game. Period. Like, no questions asked. For Resident Evil and Onimusha to come out of Capcom alone, that's crazy. There are how many studios out there, how many games, dude, how many sequels of each game, like spin-offs, since the beginning of gaming. Like, this one studio coming from this one country that makes these 2 games. Just, if there's no other games in the world, I'd be happy. I'm fine, I'm set, I'm good. They'd be kind of ashamed to like not play everything else that life does have to offer you, but these are so good. Zombies, and it really feeds that dark side of you that may have been an influence on whoever it is that you are since you can remember. And you know, especially like if you're content creating, and if this game is relatable to you, like, that alone is such a good excuse to have to play it and to put it out there into the world and show people around you that, you know, you're not afraid to play something that's actually good. You know, it's one of those take a step back type things and look at it again and double check, and because especially replaying it again recently, like, you know, there were some moments where I was like getting pissed off, but I liked the game enough where I just kind of didn't really care about that. And so many other games, like, I'll quit, or, you know, I just feel like yelling or breaking something, or because I'm tired of playing stuff half the time that I just don't like. It just doesn't feel good. It's not fun. And this is one of very few games I can really, you know, actually appreciate and show some love to properly. And yeah, it's good. It's good. I'm trying to make a 6. Is that Resident Evil 6?